First thing, we do pledge allegiance of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have one order of business, only going to take us a couple minutes to pay one bill before we go into the public hearing, okay? Julie, you want to present that bill to us? Or tell us, announce?
It's Water District number 6, disbursement approval number 15. ATL for $11,397.32. Vernier and Carr for $82,334.75. Statewide office store for $524,162.50.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to approve this. Is there any questions first? Any board member have a question about this bill? Need a motion to approve, if that's the desire of the board?
Make a motion to approve the bills as read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I think we need a roll call vote. We all have to sign that sheet. John?
Aye.
Ryan?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Steve? Michael and myself. Thank you. Passes. We'll circulate that. Each one of us has to sign it. Now I'd like to have a motion to go into a public hearing.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. The public hearing tonight is to answer any questions or thoughts that people may have on consolidating the 6 water districts that we have. We have 5 present districts. We have formed a 6th district. It's mainly on the West Service Road, Route 11, and some side streets off Route 11. We'd like to consolidate, from legal advice to consolidate all 6 districts into one district. Okay. That's the gist of the whole thing. There's any public forum. Anybody got any questions, comments?
Hi. I guess the question, I don't know much about it, so why do you want to consolidate?
Okay, hang on. Will it matter, Bill, you wanna?
Well, the town started this process probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. They had looked at it for many years before that, but about creating a water district to service West Service Road and also basically Route 11, just real rough terms, but to take it out to the border and down Route 11, to provide for future expansion and growth and help serve existing businesses, existing residents, and also to hopefully promote and attract new businesses. When there was certain funding that became available that the engineers on this project identified, I think, for the town, and they can speak to this much more in more detail and clarify it for everyone. If I'm misrepresenting anything, let me know. But basically, part of the they saw an opportunity, and the town board allowed them to go forward, but adopting a MAC plan report that would allow expansion into those areas. But in doing that, in order to make the funding packages that would be available to the town in pursuing that kind of expansion, we entered into discussions with the village of Champlain, and the village and town entered into a joint or shared services agreement, which would help promote the numbers in terms of the funding and the attractiveness of the project for funding sources. In adopting and creating Water District number 6, there are a lot of improvements that are going to happen to the existing Village of Champlain system as well. So the Village of Champlain is sharing in the cost of the construction of these Water District 6 improvements. As part of the plan, it was always intended that then if once Water District 6 was formed, and the village was on board with this as well, all the water districts in the town would be consolidated. So they would share equally because they are going to share equally in the benefits of these improvements in terms of water quality, water service, and they're going to also be sharing in the debt as a result of it. But there's a reduced rate that's gonna be paid as a result of this reconfiguration and consolidation. The village has helped with that in terms of what rates can be paid to the users. And it's for the benefit of everyone that it'll end up with a better water quality and a better system. That's what we pursue.
Matt?
Where is the water coming from that there's going to be servicing?
The same as it was before, the village.
The village of,
Champlain. The village of Ross's Point initially was involved, but they early on backed away and said they weren't going to be involved any longer. It would have been helpful and I think a benefit to the village of Ross's Point because of the decline in the amount of service that they're, or the users that they have now based on Pfizer's limited capacity. But they backed out of it right early on in the process, but the village of Champlain stayed with it, and I think it's going to work to the village of Champlain users will also benefit from this. I mean, the idea of it is that part of it is the again, I should refer to Matt on this, but he can explain that there's a water treatment as part of this that's going to improve the water quality for village residents as well as the town users now that have village water servicing. There's 5 existing districts that all get water from the village of Champlain.
Correct, yeah, the project that is being undertaken by the Town Water District 6 and the Village of Champlain interconnects all the existing town districts. And it will provide all those existing districts with the improved water pressure, the water flows, and the improved water qualities that'll be realized by the significant improvements to the village's treatment plant. Again, so this effort of consolidation is for administrative ease, to recognize the mutual benefit all the districts receive from the project. Otherwise, the town would have to continue to run 6 separate accounting books to track all the financials for 6 separate districts, and then to pay the annual debt on the project, they'd have to charge one district 10% of it, another district 15%, another 30%. So those districts will all have to contribute anyway. And to simplify that administratively, we've talked about just consolidating them all because they are all benefiting mutually as a result of this project, mutually and equally.
does that mean everyone's going to have water meters in their house?
Yes.
Are the prices going to be the same as the village, if you live outside, for the water? I mean, right now they're
prices
paying
are-
double in some places.
Yeah, the prices are not the same. I mean,
In other words, we're gonna pay more.
one benefit of this project is that through this new shared arrangement between the town and the village has lowered the water rate to all the town districts, kind of economy of scale, since we've over doubled the amount of users in the town. So the existing districts will benefit from that as a result of the negotiation that happened when Water District 6 was created.
Well, in other words, it's gonna cost us more if we live outside than what they're paying in the village.
Your rates are higher.
It always has.
I mean, it always has. I mean,
The thing
the
is,
village's infrastructure, most of it's been in place for decades.
yeah,
long
I
since been
I've
paid
got a
for.
very good well, and I'm gonna be paying more money for my water than what that's costing me right now.
Excuse me, Mr. McCott, right? You're on East Street, I
Yeah.
believe. Are you on the outside user now? Do you get the water from the village now?
No.
We're outside, we're about 500 feet outside the village, or maybe 600 feet outside.
Okay, 'cause I know some people on the other end of East Street.
Because there's
outside
only
the
2 of us,
village.
well, there's 3 of us that are out there now. In fact, the one that's in charge of the village water lives on our street, but he's outside also.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name right
Yeah, I know
now.
who you're talking about, yeah.
So you're in District 6.
He will be.
Well,
Well, he
he's in
already
District
is in
6.
Water
He's been in
District.
District 6 for
That's East-
over a year.
Yeah, East Street.
Right.
Yeah.
So District 6 was created a year ago, and if you're in that was done a year ago. We're just talking about consolidating that district with the other 5 that existed previously.
Go ahead, Dave.
How far west does, on Route 11 does districts go?
On Route 11,
Yeah.
it doesn't go beyond the existing users on Route 11, like McDonald's and there. I mean, it didn't expand to the west, it expanded to
Goes
the
east.
east, just about to the Village of Rouse's Point border.
In other words, that's what the medical center is waiting for now too, before they start building.
They are included in District 6.
Because they were gonna start this fall, but they put it off on next spring on account of that, from what they're saying anyway.
That's one of them, yes. It's very important, they probably would not have chosen that location if they hadn't gotten water and sewer. Okay.
So this district is gonna go to Rouse's Point and up to Customs?
District 6.
West Service
does.
Road?
Yeah.
There's a
And again, District 6 was formed a year ago. So that exists. Tonight's effort is to discuss consolidating that
Right.
with the other 5.
There's a new water tower up on West Service Road, I don't know if you've seen it, now it's not complete.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty well up. And there's also a new tower on Prospect Street, and that's the existing village tower.
Yeah.
Okay. Every district outside the village is gonna have better water pressure and better quality of water, because it's gonna be softened. Okay, so if anybody has water softeners now, probably won't have to have them.
And I understand if you signed up for it already, you won't have to pay to have it put in.
That is correct.
And that's what I was told anyway, and in fact, I signed the papers already.
Yeah, that is correct.
But you would have to
If
pay.
you accept it right off, you don't have to pay.
That's correct.
Every project, if you sign up now, and the project is being installed, if the pipe goes by your property, you chose not to take the water, that's fine. And you want it later, you're gonna have to take that hookup.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
Dave.
were told at the last meeting that we would be contacted before, to sign up. Is that true? Or has there been something in
Am I
between there?
correct that you are already in the district?
I live next to Stacy Gould.
Yeah, I know where you live, but that's, you get village water?
No, I don't.
Okay, but you're in that water existing district, I should say.
But somebody's gonna come and see me at some point, or do I have to, is there some, I've got a sign to sign up for it?
Matt, he's on the,
Is Ridge Road along that transmission line?
no. Ridge Road District.
Physically, but he's not tied in.
He's not tied in?
Yes.
We need to look at that.
Yeah. Take a look at that. I didn't realize there was anybody in the current district that wasn't connected.
Because I believe the other ones, the old meatpacking plant and telephone company and Border Patrol, they're all in.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why, Dave, you weren't in from the beginning, if that was a choice you had at that time or not, I don't know, I wasn't here.
I don't know, I just, my concern is, I'm leaving Florida, I'll be gone for 3.5 months.
Yes.
If there's something that I need to do to get tied into the system for free, I wanna do it before I go.
I understand.
That's what we discussed, I think, at the first meeting I went to was, if you wanna get tied in, you gotta get tied in before it all.
He's not in the new.
Yeah, I think that only applies really to District 6, because that's
Right.
separate from the issue of just consolidating existing districts.
So are you saying that I'm gonna have to pay to get tied in?
We're gonna replace that water line, someplace will be stored coming out of Route 11. And that'll be all we do once where it crosses the road, it goes into the old meatpacking plant, that's how it's right directly across the street. And we go down, should be able to tie in again.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. I mean, it's not in District 6.
Well, he's gonna be part of the new.
Dave, are you gonna be here for another,
Yeah.
for a few more days, or when you
Question
guys?
is-
3 more weeks.
That's a different issue.
I'll get hold of him? Okay, then I'll get it straightened out. Okay?
Then we actually have the option of not signing up if we want to?
You do not have to take the water if it goes by your property.
But you still gotta pay.
Correct.
You gotta pay for the infrastructure of the pipe that goes by your property, because it makes your property more valuable. If you choose to hook up later, you don't have to pay for the hookup. Okay? It's just off Route 11, I believe.
Right, down the road,
Yeah. Is that part of the district,
Baker.
Pardon?
Hafer Road, yeah.
It'd be nice if we had a map of this.
I don't know how far off.
She wouldn't be in District 6 because she's 3 houses down on the Hayford Road. So,
South
Oh,
Route 11?
South, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
the district doesn't go to the south, so.
no.
Did you get a letter, Jackie?
I did it,
Yeah, but she got a letter, because I remember sending it out, so she must have property somewhere that's in the district.
do you have a property other than what your house is?
There's a house, there's a lot across the street.
The house across the street, does that border Route 11?
No, the Pet Smart store is on the corner.
Yes.
I'm down the road too.
I know where your house is, but across the street from your house, you
I
own
own
that lot?
it between us and the bowling alley. I
Is
own
that
that property.
border Route 11 though?
That's correct.
That's probably why you got
That's
the
mine,
notice
yeah.
then. Okay, 'cause that Route 11 section of your property would be in the district.
How can that be? How far in does that route, that number 6 go? Is there a limit of feet from the Route 11 that you consider that district?
It includes, is down Route 11 to Rouse's Point.
How far south on Route
And
11?
in any parcel that borders Route 11
Okay,
was included in the district.
okay.
Again, because the pipe is placed down Route 11, so any property that borders that is benefited by that infrastructure and is included in the district.
And we're all paying for it, whether we benefit by it or not, is that what you're talking about?
Well, according to the comptroller, you all benefit from it, whether you connect to it or not,
If you're in the district.
if you're in the district.
The only thing is, Jackie, owning that lot that you own, and the laterals are gonna be free when they go by. It'd be your advantage, because you're gonna have to pay half an EDU to begin with. It would be at your advantage to have put a lateral in there. That would improve the price of the property.
The piece across between us and the bowling alley.
Right.
The border's
Have
Route
them put
11.
at least a single lateral in there, because you're gonna pay half an EDU anyway. If you're gonna put it in now, it's gonna be free. If somebody buys a property and then wants to do something with it, like on the corner, they let you put something, they're gonna have to pay to put it in. Because after this is the one-time offer. Once we build this thing, put all the laterals in, it's only gonna be one time. So to your advantage and up the rest of your property, it'd be well worth it to put a lateral in there.
I'll consider that.
I'll go and talk to you about it.
You make your Route 11 property move back.
If you decided to sell it and some commercial interest was interested in purchasing it, if you already had the lateral in there, it will increase the value of the property.
Okay.
Will everyone in the district be paying the same amount?
The fee structure will be the same.
Because these districts were formed at different times, and some of them incurred quite a debt and still have a debt, and others don't and have some money. Now everybody's gonna be sharing in this debt, or regardless?
If they would have been sharing the debt, as Matt said, if you could have kept it all, if the consolidation isn't ultimately approved, those districts would still be charged because they're getting the benefit of those improvements. You know, otherwise, yes, it's all being, the proposal
It's all being
is-
put in one big pot,
Correct.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. It would have been very helpful tonight if we had had a big map of this area, proposed area.
There was one at the desk.
One right there on the side end.
Oh, because we could have referred to it as we're
Yeah, right.
speaking, yeah.
We have had maps up at different times, but when we were really discussing Water District 6 and the formation of that district. But this consolidation is something allowed under general municipal law. And
Mhm.
a lot of, the idea being that consolidation benefits everyone in terms of reducing administrative costs. and-
Well, those are all nice words, we know.
I know.
We've all used those weasel words.
Yeah. I think it is gonna be helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
the village has been very cooperative with the town in terms of being, looking at the improvements that are needed both for the village's own system as well as the town.
Mhm.
And I think it's been a good project.
I will say that it's a cooperation between town and village, or the village and the town, and we both benefit from it. That's why we started the project. The village needed some upgrades, and we needed additional districts, users. People want the water on West Rivers Road and Route 11, some of the side streets. Eden Lane's gonna get water, Vienna South Street's gonna get water, East Street. And it's only the cooperation of the village and town together, otherwise this project would not have happened. And the village still needed some upgrades, if I'm correct, Greg. The water softening, the water pressure problems, and a lot of other things. So both the town and the village benefit.
I definitely think the village of Champlain is one that, in getting the most improvements and the most benefit from it.
Well, okay, every town resident is gonna be, their water's gonna be enhanced. They're gonna get better water pressures because of the tap towers, and they're gonna get soft water. So there is some benefits other than just delivering the water to you.
Yeah.
There's also planned fire hydrants, fire hydrants where there weren't before. Also, if the power goes out, you'll continue to have water just like you do in the village. Now, if you don't have power, you wait till the power company comes in. And also, we're hoping, part of the hope of this is to bring business into Route 11 and West Service Road and those areas that you can't support businesses now because you have no water. And hopefully that will drive prices down for the entire district, but we've got to provide it first so that they can come. And it's also, it's microfiltration, so the water's all going to be softened now. It's going to be much, much better water quality than you would get from your well. And it'll also be on public system, so it's going to be tested regularly for chlorine, for bacteria, all sorts of things like that. It's going to be a new system. Maintenance costs will hopefully be much lower. Most of the system will be newer. The water line going from the service line right to your house, the town would remain possession of the water line. It would be an easement. It would still be your property. But you don't have to worry about the water line going from the service line into your house where the meter is. So that's a big burden that you wouldn't have to worry about. Right now, your well pump goes out or your line freezes. That's your problem. After this goes through, that happens, it's our problem. So kind of nice. I mean, you're paying for it, but it's a service that the town is going to be providing.
And that's the benefit that town people is gonna get because of the village, so the village is only responsible to the curb box that's by the street. So if somebody's line freezes between the curb box and the house, that's the property owner's problem. Right now, you're saying that the town's gonna be responsible from the main into the house.
Yes,
Correct.
that's a
Correct.
condition of the financing of
And
the project.
another question from Mrs. Ducharme, her property is down before the Hayford Road and the Beaumont, okay? That's quite a stretch of property. Now, you're asking her to put a service across the road. So if she was to sell that for lots, not saying she's gonna, 2 or 3 lots there, there's only be one service across the road for there. So what happens to the other people, the other lot that she wants to sell?
The thing is that she puts in, like, to her advantage again is put a single lateral in now. Then it would always be there, and when she comes, if she sells that first lot, like you said, she breaks it up, that one there will already have water, and the other people more than likely will just get on the line, but they'll have to pay for their own. But I don't feel that she should put like 3 in, because you never know, somebody might come along and take the whole thing. But one, because she's gonna pay a half an EDU year round anyway, might as well have water there.
And how much is the half EDU?
We haven't got it figured out, there's a couple of figures left and a half an EDU.
Yeah, I think what we had talked about was, and water use law for District 6 has not been adopted. And that process actually requires a separate public hearing for that, for the town to adopt the use law. It's gonna have the fee structure for, the EDU assignments and the water rate. But what we've talked about, if I recall correctly, is we were talking about for vacant lots, commercial being a half EDU, if it's zoned commercial, if it's zoned residential, is that right? Commercial a half, residential a quarter for vacant lots, that's what we had discussed. So depending on what it's currently zoned, and that it hasn't been adopted, that's not official yet, but that was just some preliminary discussion. I think our EDU charges around 400.
Yeah, 330.
330, so, you know, half of that's gonna be 165, you know, a quarter of that's gonna be
But that can
$82.
change at any time, because that's not set in stone. Correct?
Once they adopt that use law, it'll be set in stone.
Now, you want everybody, I'm here because of, I have the Route 11, I have property over there, right? And you want to form this all district, did everybody get a handout on what the depths are on all them other districts that you want everybody to take?
No.
If not, I have a copy, Julia, so that people can see what it is. I mean, there's quite a bit of debt here, Barb Jarvis, when they put the service lines in over there was a rate that you had to pay to have that put in.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Carl the Fountain paid his right up front,
Yeah, 3 out of 7.
okay? 3 out of 7, okay? So they already paid for that, and yet we're gonna turn this back over, and we're gonna hit them again with it. Because they already paid to have that line installed.
That single line, correct?
Yes, I know, I was there.
But they would be reimbursed.
The people that prepaid, yes.
People that
they'd be reimbursed.
prepaid would be reimbursed for what they paid, and then it would be.
For a portion of what they
Per
pay.
portion, because it was a 10-year amortization on the loan, there's only 3 years left on it.
And the ones that paid everything up front will be reimbursed what they paid.
For those couple years, not the whole thing.
What they owe. Everybody, the other residents were paying that debt through their water bill.
Correct, I know, yeah.
So after 10 years, everybody would have paid up. It's all in the.
Has that water line been there 10 years?
Yes, it was 07.
Yeah. Oh, so,
7, 8 years.
I think everybody started paying on it in 08, is the information I have. And there were the 3 people that paid up front.
Anybody else have a question?
I'm not done yet,
Oh,
okay? The landfill district,
yes.
okay? Fire hydrants up there. Are we reinventing that lift station? So when you can, if you have a fire, you can use them fire hydrants up there? Or are they just a water faucet like they are now?
I mean, we're gonna probably put a few blow-off hydrants
Well,
down there.
there's some
However,
already there.
I mean, the flows are,
There's only one on the whole road,
yeah,
What's that?
there's only one on the whole road.
One hydrant on Hall Road.
right.
Correct, yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
flushed them
That's
off.
only a 4-inch line up there.
Yes, correct, I know that.
We're not changing the 4-inch line. So we'll have to with a few places with blow-off valves and things, but as far as putting hydrants there, there isn't enough, unless you want to replace the whole line, and that's not part of the project.
But the fire district, that's included in this here for all these places?
With the
This-
fire
this-
district?
This is in this whole thing with the water,
Sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about a fire.
the landfill, for instance.
It would be consolidated with the other 5 districts, yes.
Correct, but that line goes right up through from that lift station to the end.
Right. That'll remain.
It's on the side of the road. Is everybody else gonna have to hook to that line or pay on
It's
it?
along the way.
Yes.
They're not currently in a district, so no. That's considered a transmission line to get to the Ridge Road district. So currently, those people are not in a district and they're not required to connect.
There is a couple houses on that transmission line that requested,
But they're not in the district.
but they're not in it.
So where do we go with that?
They have to pay for their.
No,
They're outside users.
They're
Well,
outside.
no, there are no outside users. The one that did connect me included in District 6.
On the Ridge Road?
Yeah.
How can it be
On the
included in
south
District
end.
6? When that line is a private line for up there.
Well,
He's talking about landfill. You're
right,
talking about landfill.
Who?
You're talking
The
about
landfill.
landfill district.
right.
The landfill
That's not
district.
district.
There's
That's
2
not
houses that got
district.
tapped
That's
into
not
that water line after that was developed.
There's Ridge Road District,
Right.
landfill, Route 11,
Right.
Berry Mills.
But there is a connection at the landfill district outside of the district, and we included that in District 6, so that
There should be 2
every
connections.
single outside user that existed before is encompassed in the district. One of the objectives of this was Aside from all the infrastructure improvements, administratively, we wanted everybody receiving water outside of the village to be in a district for administrative reasons. And we wanted to consolidate all the districts to simplify the administration of those. So, when we created District 6, we also looked at anybody that's getting water that's not currently in a district. And then once we consolidate them, all of those people that are receiving water outside of the village are in one consolidated district.
So no matter where your line goes, it's gonna be in District 6.
All of the districts will be one consolidated district.
6.
Is it called 6 from that point? Just call it consolidated
Consolidated
district.
water district.
So to get back to my question, did anybody hand any handouts on these deficits on all these districts? So these people can see what the debt is? Wouldn't you think that would be fair to let these people see?
Well, that's public knowledge, if anybody wants that, we get it. Yeah, that's not a problem.
I mean, I'll have a copy of that, but yeah, it's available on town file at request any time.
So the consolidation of all of these water districts hinges on a vote
For the board.
of the board,
Correct.
Correct.
not any of the residents.
Correct.
Okay, bottom line, how much is it gonna cost me? I'm in Perry's Mills Water District. You consolidate, how much more per year is it going to cost me?
The net change is negligible. In fact, for some districts, the cost goes down. Because the new negotiated water rate that came about through Development District 6, even though you'll be paying some additional debt for these improvements, that's offset by the reduction in the water rate the town was able to negotiate with the village through this project. So it depends. All existing 5 districts are paying a little bit different. It ranges from $635 to $895 a year for typical user. When I say typical user, we just say for the average household that uses 150 gallons per day, which is what Department of Health uses as a typical average figure. So just to look at that typical user, in those districts now with those rate structures, it's between $635 and $895 for those existing 5 districts. As a result of this, the consolidated district's typical user cost is $746. It's actually, in that range, it's lower than the middle. So even if you're at the lowest rate right now in those existing 5 districts at $635, it's about a $100 increase. It's about $10 a month, less than $10 a month increase for improved water quality, improved water pressure, improved water flows. And that's if you're at the low end of that range. For many people in these other districts, they'll actually see a cost reduction as a result of this. And again, some of the efficiencies that are coming about through the consolidation.
And what's the cost gonna be to install those lines on the property?
For District 6,
Yeah. You're saying that's gonna be installed free?
if you are in District 6 and you sign your easement to accept the connection during construction this coming year, there's no direct out-of-expense cost to the property owner. It is all included in the project cost. Now, obviously, that cost ranges. If your house is 50 feet from the road or 200 feet from the road, that's gonna range, but it's all included in the project cost. There's no direct out-expense, or out-of-pocket expense for you.
And if there's not a house, you go just to the curb stop.
Most vacant parcels will not receive a curb stop unless they request one specifically. Because, I mean, the funding agency will only fund so much of speculative growth. So if you start putting in 5 curb stops for vacant property, not only, I mean, you're raising the cost for all the other people, that are connected, because there's no way to build those vacant lots for water.
My question was, you're gonna put a lateral across the road for free on a vacant lot. Are you just gonna cap the pipe in the ground, or are you gonna put a curb stop?
Well, again, we've talked too, that if you want Again, the local law has not been established. We've just had some conceptual discussions as to how some of the fee structure would be established. But if you want a curb stop, you wouldn't just pay the quarter EDU for your vacant residential lot, you would pay something more for that.
Even though there's not a house or anything on it.
Correct. And you wouldn't be paying any usage, obviously, there is no usage in the vacant lot.
I know, but wouldn't it be reasonable if you're gonna put a line across, have a curb stop, then you gotta go back and redo it all again?
Again, I mean, there's only
It's like
so
putting a
much the
road and not
funding
putting
agency
a water line across it.
will approve for speculative
Yeah.
growth. You know, you start putting curb stops all over the place, lines across the road, you know, the lines across Route 11 are very expensive, you've got to drill those under the road. And adding that expense for speculative growth that may or may not ever happen, only puts more cost burden on the existing users.
There seems to be a lot of unknowns. We keep saying this isn't decided, that hasn't been decided, and all that. So the information you're giving us is not necessarily the final decision on anything.
In regard to District 6,
Yes,
much of it's been established. The only, the one component that the board has yet to act on is the use ordinance, which, you know, just has to be in place before water starts flowing down the lines by, you know, summer, fall 2016.
Their expected completion date?
Yeah, by end of 2016.
And what is District 6? Is that from Ross's Point? Is that District 6?
District 6 was the district created a year ago that, as Bill mentioned earlier, just in general terms, it's West Service Road and Route 11. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but,
That's better on this
Suppose
little map
East
here.
Service Road too.
East Service Road.
so how far east is it?
On Route 11?
Yes,
Just short of the railroad overpass.
okay.
Fairbanks Road.
Which is a mile on the side of Ross's Point.
Fairbanks Road.
The new pipe on the Route 11 will also service 7 houses on Eden Lane, if you know what that is. Rob.
Yes, they're doing,
And it'll service all of, I think there's 13, 14 houses on the end of South Street, it's in town. It'll service those people, it'll service some people on East Street, and there's several houses on Golf Course, well, Mason Road going, Hayford Road going north from the corner where you live, going north toward the golf course. Those houses will all be serviced, okay? They're part of District 6.
So is that gonna be a dead end line on the Hayford Road?
Yes.
Well, when you get to the end of the Hayford Road up past the golf course, to loop it, you gotta go a mile each direction, so to speak, to get another house. It's probably a good mile to get back to the village or Ross's Point if they ever wanted it. There's no houses there, too, but.
yes, there's one.
Okay.
It's a high rise.
And going west from there,
That's a good one.
back towards the high school, there's no houses there at all, is there?
On
Just
the
Louis
corner.
Bedard.
Yes.
Louis Inn.
Maybe over a mile there, so. At least now it's gonna be a dead end line. There wasn't much options there because to go another mile with no residents or businesses, it would be cost prohibitive. They'll have to be able to flush that line, am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be part of the operation procedures to flush it
There'll be a
periodically.
hydrant at the end of the line,
Yeah,
so.
then I mean, they'll monitor chlorine residuals, you know, disinfection byproducts, per Department of Health regulations to make sure that, you know, water meets standards.
Any other questions? Anybody?
With all the improvements being made for the village, with the
Pardon?
softener and everything, are the village residents gonna end up, I think Greg's in here somewhere, are the village residents gonna end up with any added cost to them?
Well, they're
Is
certainly
it
gonna
strictly-
pay a
Their
share.
rates are gonna increase because they are paying a portion of the debt on the project. But again, I mean, we've talked about, you know, if that rate is, that increase is about $100 a year. Most residents in the village soften. And I've had many of them tell me they spend $300 to $400 a year on salt. So this $100 increase is a cost savings to them.
So what I save in my town district bill, I'm gonna spend in my village one, because I have one in each.
And you get better water.
You want a water softener? Give you a heck of a deal.
I've got one. I'd love to get rid of it.
Oh, Lordy.
Any other questions? We're here to answer. We'll try to answer any questions. Any board member got any questions?
We've been over this so many times, I hope we don't have any more questions.
How many board members are gonna benefit from this, from the water, besides Mr. Salva? He's the only one on the village water. Everybody else either has a well or they're living Ross's Point.
They have public water. Unfortunately, we're not including Rouse's Point in this.
I don't have public water, I'm way out of
I know where you live.
7 miles, 7 miles out. Brian's in Coopersville, he's not benefiting from this. I'm really not,
Water softeners.
This is my 10th year here, and I had 2 years before that as a town councilman. We've been talking about this project almost since I got here. It's been a long time coming. The funding was the issue, I think Matt will, we got a $2 million grant, $11.4 million 30-year loan.
0% interest.
Interest-free. That was kind of hard to not take. It's real incentive.
Well, for all the years too, this project was looked at, it just was always so expensive based on, what the village was charging as its rate. And it just wasn't gonna work out at all. With this as an opportunity, I think, it's viewed by the board, or was viewed by the board, that potentially this will bring development on West Service Road already. The New York State Department of Transportation is looking to locate a building there. And as you get more users, potentially commercial users, you're gonna help fund all these existing water districts in the town that have been struggling along, paying high rates because there just wasn't enough users, and commercial users is what you really are looking for to develop. And so at this point, based on that funding that Larry has just mentioned, it became affordable, and hopefully with the build-out and future businesses coming, it will become very affordable. That's the hope.
Yes.
So when Jackie sells her lot to Walmart,
Yes.
and New York State puts up the building on the West Service Road or the East Service Road, does that decrease the debt for this consolidated water district?
Yeah, so let's say the debt payment for round figures is $200,000 a year, total on all this infrastructure that's being built. When the town determines how much to charge each property, we have each of them equated to an equivalent dwelling unit, EDU, it's a term used. So if it's a single-family home, it's 1 EDU. If it's a restaurant that uses approximately 5 times as much water as a single-family home, they get assigned 5 EDUs. So when we're talking about this debt payment, it's per EDU. So if a Walmart comes in and there are 40 EDUs, you just divided that annual payment by that many more EDUs, which makes the cost per EDU lower. So it brings everybody's cost in the debt payment down.
So where is this grant coming from? The state?
It is the state drinking water revolving fund.
So
It's
that
actually pass-through money. It's coming from EPA. It's assigned to all the states, and each state administers their program. This is administered by New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation, state agency that oversees this fund.
So that means all the state taxpayers are going into this one or the other. There is no money that doesn't have some strings attached to it, and anything you get like that, we're paying it back.
The same way you pay another community if they got this loan and we didn't get it.
But I'm saying, everybody says you're getting a grant, and it sounds wonderful and all this stuff,
Nothing.
but it still has to be paid back by taxpayers.
Somebody pays for it.
Anybody else have any questions? You certainly can stop at any time, have questions. Either myself, or the mayor, or we can actually, we've got an engineer, we've got an attorney, of course. Yes, Mike?
When will the vote take place? When will the vote take place as far as
The town board, I expect will be voting at our next regular board meeting,
Okay.
which will be the second Tuesday, I was
December
eight, okay? And we wanted input tonight, this is what it's all about, questions answered, make people, at least try to make people more comfortable with the whole project.
If anybody comes up with other questions, Larry or any of us board members would be happy to answer them, and if we can't answer them, we know Matt's telephone number, or Bill's.
By heart.
Case by heart.
Yes, sir.
One more question. We got the new medical center coming in,
Yes,
right? The water line going to that. You would just go through in 2000, well, next year, you're gonna go through with the line, right?
yes.
Is there gonna be a water service put to that with a curb box if it's not built?
Or there's no question in my mind that it's gonna be built.
Well, they're breaking ground in spring.
I know they're breaking ground,
Right,
but
right.
if there's not a building on that property, is there gonna be a water with a curb box?
Could they
When you go
sign
through.
that?
If they have an approved building permit, yes.
And I believe they've been through that process. I know it's been presented to us, but it's been approved, or not, I'm not sure. Do you know, Bill?
It's been approved through the zoning board, but not that I know about building permit.
Okay.
The zoning board did there.
I mean, that's typically what towns use to determine, do we put a service line into this property or not, based on speculative building. And that, do they have a building permit or not, is usually the litmus test. If they've got a building permit, they're serious enough, we'll put in the service lateral. If they don't, it's speculative, it's way out there, it's a lot of cost to the other people in the district to start putting in service laterals to vacant property with no intended plans to build there.
And I'll tell you, when the medical center first came here 4 or 5 years ago, we knew right away they wanted a new building. And they had planned on like roughly a 12,000 square foot building. They went looking for a lot, they wanted water and sewer. Obviously, they don't have it where they are now. So that was one of the criteria of them moving to where they are moving, that water and sewer would be available. Okay, they would. Now that same 12,000 square foot footprint is up to 26,000 roughly, okay? So it's more than twice what they had originally thought. And they were talking, they had like 17, 18 employees, now they're going to 40. Okay, so they are gonna be a big user. They wanna be on a public system.
Is anything being built behind Rite Aid along Route 11?
Yes, there's a perspective, that property has been sold. We have been in contact with that person. We are gonna put a, Matt, you can address this maybe. He's agreed to pay,
Yeah, and that specific situation, again, he doesn't have a building permit, he has no definite plans to build. So to put in a line across Route 11, again, which is very expensive, based on speculative growth that may or may not ever happen there, isn't fair to the other users. He agreed to pay, we were at like 2.5 EDUs.
something like that.
He agreed to pay 2.5 EDUs a year every year for his vacant property if we would put in the line. So what we calculated is, okay, what's the cost of that line across the road divided by the 30-year loan? If you're willing to pay that much per year, then we'll go ahead and put that lateral in for you.
He wants a pipe big enough for a decent sized shopping center with sprinkler systems. He's gotta have the water pressure, so the man knows what he wants. He does have plans for that lot. I'm sure that man would not spend that money on that lot, wouldn't he? He has plans. And not only that, when the water comes across the street for him, it can also tie into, Ready, I believe.
Yeah, but their water's not drinkable.
Okay. Ready also wants.
Ready to the district. Yeah, they're getting water either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
questions? It's early now. Okay, I mean, if not, any board member? Bill? Matt? Need a motion to close the public hearing, then?
Motion to close public hearing.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?